Progress.
Good. Okay, well, this meeting of the November 10th, Norfolk School District School Board meeting. Okay. Do the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, roll call, please.
All right, Dan Jansen,
Here.
Scott Duster,
Here.
Mark Herrick,
Here.
Preston Fivecoat,
Here.
Dwight Roth.
Here.
Right. Thanks to everybody being here. This is great. Got a full house tonight. That's good. Item number 2 is the changes or additions to the agenda. You have any? I had a question. So I was not here at the last meeting, and according to the minutes, there's possible supplemental budget meeting that we're supposed to talk about here for December.
Yeah, Monica will,
You can address that.
she can address that.
Okay,
There's, yeah,
so it's on here then.
Yeah, we're still
Good.
talking about, we don't need to add that separate agenda item.
it is. Yeah, it's not.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't think it needs to be an agenda item, but we can just ask Monica.
During the financial report.
Yeah, the bottom.
Financials.
In 10, board communication. Maybe.
You want to put it before that, so she doesn't have to stay through the executive session?
Yeah.
Oh, this in the.
We can put it in new business. Move 10.2 to new business.
Preston.
We'll make that 5.2. Preston, is you already, and you gotta remind me.
Yeah, okay. 5.2 or 6.3.
Oh, 6.2. No. Well, but
Just do it right
under new business, it's 5.1 and it's supposed to be 6.1. That's all right.
now.
Yeah, the old agenda has 5.1, the
Got
the
it.
agenda for tonight has been corrected for
Alright.
that.
I'll go up with this. And see that already. Okay, nothing else? There's no changes, we don't have to approve it, correct? So
No.
we'll go right into public comment. Was there anybody signed up or? Anybody wish to speak? Roger?
Nope.
No? Laura? Putting you on the spot.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
No, okay. Everybody else has a role, so I'm gonna leave you out. All right. Great, going to consent agenda. Is there any items on consent agenda? That is the same, to pull off. To discuss,
Yeah, the work session and special session minutes.
okay? I also have the regular minutes. Anything else?
If you guys would look over those minutes when I get you that on Thursday, and if there are changes, I can make those changes
I know.
well before Monday, so that that does not have to be a thing at the board meeting.
Yeah, might have to move that up or something if we can.
So those are gonna go to, that puts them down to the board discussion.
Yeah,
Then
yeah, it'll be-
5.4.
5 point, well, we'll probably do them first, but
Okay.
I'll just keep them 4.1, 4.3, and then go right into 5.1. Anything else? Nothing on the financial report, or anything, so. Okay. With that, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda minus 4.1.
Yeah, so moved. Second.
Okay, Preston, Mark second, all those in favor, raise your hand, 5-0. We'll jump right into board discussion. We'll go ahead and do the 4.1, so it's just the minutes, so. The only thing I had on the regular meeting was the Jim Missile thing again.
Oh,
So-
yeah, yeah, I did take that off.
Oh, really?
Did I take that off the paper copy? No, I did not. Yeah, I don't know how that keeps showing up in there, but yep, I'll take it off.
Want to get it? Correct, there's a few other things.
But once again, that would be very, very easy for me to correct
And
if you let me know Monday morning.
Scott,
Um,
special session,
yep, under number 3, the roofing project. I was looking at the wording on that. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. Basically, the last sentence there, the district does not have to seek another bid because the project is under $100,000.
That was straight from, that was,
Just for the, I don't,
Yeah, that's in
Yeah.
reference to the manager.
The manager?
Project itself,
Okay.
so, I believe.
yes, because we were talking about that 37,000, this sort of thing, right? Is that what we're talking about? then? Yeah.
yes, okay,
So-
so yeah, so the district does not have to seek another bid for the project manager.
Yeah.
Corrected to that, okay.
yeah,
And then also under well, below the number 4 on the motion,
Hold on just a second. Motion, three, um, And that was the whole part of the meeting I was not at, so, that's,
Oh.
yeah.
yeah, somewhere in there it should say CERTA maybe, or. Just so we're not confused that it's the whole project, maybe just approving CERTA.
Oh, that's the
well, that was
certificate, okay.
HMK. Right? That part of it.
Not a special one, because I was here for it, you guys
Yeah.
approved H and K, the regular.
Yeah, we approved HMK,
They would like to.
yeah, in October.
Right.
Okay, so just the bid is for the project manager, not the roofing project.
Well, it's actually for the engineer, it could be for CERTA.
Oh, for CERTA then, okay, not the project manager, okay.
Right.
Or. All right.
So then on the motion under number 4, maybe it's right, I'm not real sure on wording there, but for the memorandum that has been conducted. Is that? not the
Yeah,
wording or-
there was a memorandum that was.
That was
uh,
Preston's exact word.
Provided by the union rep.
Mhm.
That's what it was. And so we just, there's in reference to that, we went with their suggestion.
My problem with that one is it should be 4.
Yeah.
In favor, 1 abstention, of my
Yeah.
name,
Yeah,
There's that too.
yes, sorry.
don't get me in trouble there.
Mhm. Okay, so for
Is
item
that yours,
4.
Ken, Mark? That's all I saw on it.
Yeah, that's all I had.
Okay, yeah, I'm glad with you.
Okay. We will move on to 5.1, board goal update, and I don't know if any of you have anything, but for folks who don't know, our last work session, we spent some time talking about board goals. And things that we want to do to either enhance ourselves personally as board members, but also as we look at the strategic plan for the school district down the road and some different pieces. Don't have a lot. I'm gonna ask for committee reports here in a minute, and that's involves everybody. Just if there is anything, but part of that board goal discussion is trying to get to a professional development for every one of the board members. And so Scott was able to, he's doubled up already. He's already good for next year. But you went to, was it the road show?
OSBA there in Paisley.
So anything to share about that?
The training itself was okay. Lots of brightly colored information they handed out. Talked about the current or the last session there for the legislature. And Senate Bill 141, there was some comments about what's going on with that. I'm probably gonna get it wrong, but I think it's we as a district have 4 years to meet goals. And if we don't meet those goals, the state can direct up to 25% of our budget, basically. And I'm thinking, are those goals set by that Senate Bill 141 or?
The 5 that we already worked towards, we'll keep those. They will add 2 more. And then so that makes 7, 4, 5, 6, they'll add 3 more, I think. And then from another, no, 5, 2, 7. Then from another list that they give us, we have to choose 1 more.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, so we have the 5 and then they're adding basically 3 more. 2 of their choice, 1 of our choice. So we equals instead of 5 measures.
So, yeah, that was kind of an interesting one there. That could be.
I'm sure the paperwork will be a minimum on all that.
Well, of course, it
Yeah.
always is.
The only other thing they had commented that I kind of picked up was a board operating agreement, which was just kind of like I don't know, a memo or I don't know, not necessarily policy, but then reading the policy that we were reviewing this month is pretty much what they were talking about there. So. Yeah. That's what I got. After
Okay.
that.
The other one that we attended, Scott and I both attended, was the one in Portland on Wednesday. That's where the books came from. So that was sponsored by PRI, Pacific Research Institute. This is a think tank out of California. It's got a very conservative slant to it. So they were going to that the first day and then going to OSBA the second day was very different. Extremely different mood and tone and discussions, but they published this book, which is kind of a guide for school boards to use, and you see it says the right way, so it's got that conservative slant. A lot of stuff about, the things that we talked about in policies that frustrated us. They said, absolutely, you need to be just questioning everything and having your lawyer on top of it and so forth. And so that was refreshing to hear that maybe things haven't totally changed. It's just OSBA has a lot of control over those pieces because they provide that service, which is great. We subscribe to that service, but you have to have that filter. And so I thought they did a very good job laying that out in that book, and I haven't had time to read it, but I thumbed through it. It does get into strategic planning and goal setting and stuff, which is a theme that we heard on that day. Having a vision for the school district and strategic plans and goals in place. And then we heard it again in OSA the next day. And so I think that's where we really have a shortcoming in terms of the board. And now I have a little more insight in how we can maybe approach that. A little more clarity at least. That was one book. There's another book. I think everybody got a copy of this one. Don't know much about it. This is more critical race theory stuff, so it's a little bit of an older publication. And then we didn't have enough of these because Scott couldn't fight the old lady over them to get that one, but I think there's one short maybe. And then there's one on the school homeschool boom, and
That one was.
you didn't get this. Yeah, everybody was fighting over that one. So soon as I'm done, we can pass that one around or whatever. What's interesting about this one is when you start setting strategic goals, this talks about why kids and parents leave the school district. And that can help guide some of those goals that you're trying to set and understand why your patrons leave, your customers leave. And reshape that school vision to prevent that. So that was good. Neat thing about it, it was free. It was a day long, 9 o'clock to 3, so it wasn't overbearing. They had state legislators there, Republicans from the Education Committee that spoke. All the authors spoke. They kind of did like 3 questions and did a panel thing on those questions, and it was very, very well done. And you got a free room the night before, and then that whole day, and then the next day we paid a bunch of money to go to OSBA, and it was a little more fluffier. Speaker was just one of those speakers that just kind of leads you through the appropriate conversations and that kind of stuff. So, but what I pulled out of that, and Scott can add to it, was kind of that same thing. If you're having the wrong conversations in your school, it's really goes back to goal setting and really having a clear vision. And then when we got in with Vince Adams, he did a 1-hour workshop after that we got to sit through. That was all about collaboration and yeah, I don't know anything else there, Scott.
Well, like you said, both of them kind of stress that the one thing I wrote down, successful student outcomes come from school board vision. And then I guess part of our responsibility on when it comes to some things going on in the school is like kind of like show us how's that gonna help the kids, how's this training or whatever it is gonna go to the classroom and help kids out, or get them to learn. The comment from the first day, there was I think it was from one of the legislators that said ODE is here to help us, not dictate direction. I thought that's quite interesting coming from the state, but then again, they were conservative peoples.
Boomer didn't have a lot of love for the ODE though.
No, he didn't, that's for sure. Boomer Wright from the Coos Bay area and over in that area, I believe, as a state representative, so. So yeah, some pretty good stuff there.
Was that an annual conference?
Yes.
It was the first time they've done it, that PRI one.
PRI, yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like they're hoping we can make it in. And
Did they have a pretty good turnout, or was it small, or?
it was small.
I think probably 12 people, and there's probably 12 presenters, so.
Yeah.
But it's the first year they ever did it, and I don't know how they emailed stuff out, but I got an invitation, and I don't know if any of you did.
I don't remember seeing it.
And then just listening to people in the room, they're like, yeah, I don't know why I got an invitation, nobody else on my board got one or something. I don't know, it was just 4 chairs or just randomly pick people, or I don't know. But it's something that I think will grow. I mean, just having the resources that they gave us was pretty cool. I haven't found anything that kind of tells you what you're supposed to be doing other than policies, so.
Also on that, there was a couple of Redmond school board members that were presenters there,
Mhm.
so that was quite interesting as well.
So, good one. I kind of wanted to go to the Thursday at OSBA. I think it would have been better. We just did the pre-conference day, and that's expensive. It'd be like $1,000 or something. So it was expensive, but maybe it would be better. The rural caucus meeting was on Friday, and another session I wanted to go to, but we just couldn't get out. Okay.
Gotcha.
So,
Thank you, guys. Thanks for bringing back the literature.
yeah.
It was pretty easy, other than Dan
Yeah,
trying to get me to.
Purchase ones that you didn't get copies of, they can.
I bet he would just give them to us if we contact them, but PRI, so we have one here in Oregon, it's called Cascade Policy Institute. maybe?
Right, in Portland.
Is kind of the Oregon chapter, if you will, or they work with them, and so.
I just wonder if you wanted everyone to have a copy. of it.
Yeah, probably could.
Mhm.
Maybe you can find out. But, they must have, money done. They're primarily in Washington, California is where they started. And then Washington, Texas, Florida, and Arizona.
Yeah, I think that's. big ones.
Um, All right, real quickly, anything on committee reports? We didn't have any staff interviews, I don't believe. Scott, ECT meeting,
Um. CT, no meetings,
Okay.
although they're working on, the. The Haking, but more so the donation, I believe, more so than the Haking kind of thing, for the Waldron scholarship along with funds for the HFA chapter. So kind of a split, fundraiser.
Okay.
So I believe they're picking up money from different people on the 18th.
No, it's scheduled.
so. All right, nothing on budget, foundation, Preston,
Nothing foundation wise, I have been talking with Stacy about funding.
Okay.
For
for staff,
the
appreciate it.
staff appreciation stuff, and she's got some, she didn't think they could swing like the dinner tree type deal, but she had some other ideas. Based on just having hosted having a wedding reception catered.
Okay.
And she said that they had some ideas that they could probably do 75 people for $1,000 range, something like that, and maybe have it at school or somebody's house or something. Decorate and things like that, so she's got some ideas for how they can do it and. Within a budget that would work.
Perfect. We're shooting for early December or in January, right? So we got a little time to work on it, so if you need any help, let me know.
But I guess on that side of it, I would lean on you guys to know, let us know when you're wanting to. Schedule what works schedule wise for the staff is. Is December better, or is it easier to do it in January after the holiday, everyone's holiday stuff is over and. Something fun in January, I don't know.
My thought on that is, it gets so crazy the last couple of weeks before we go on Christmas break. So my personal preference would be in January when we come back. But in order to settle that, we could just put a poll out to staff, have them vote and go on what they want. Because it doesn't matter to me, that would just be my preference. But I think maybe we could do that, and we could choose a couple of dates. Give them the choice, 2 or 3 dates, to say which one you vote for and. Go with that.
Yeah, that'll give us more time to get things put together as well.
Yeah, and let you guys know, yeah. Okay,
Perfect. Capital plan, anything, Mark, Dwight? Haven't had any discussions there yet. And then ESD, Scott, anything?
No, there was some of the ESD board members there at the OSB, regional. Nothing. Beyond that, so.
Okay, and I did not reach out to CSN yet, but Preston's already working on something there, so. That is our board committee reports, I believe. Nothing else, Janet? Am I missing? Okay, district policy review, you had, I believe is the next one. Yeah, so we had 2 policies to review this month. This is the first reading. Would have been policy AE, district goals, which was timely. That's a good one to pick there. Yeah, good. And then the second one was the board organization and organizational meeting, which was pretty straightforward. Is there any changes, discussion? We can go with the district goals one first.
The only thing I thought was maybe a grammatical thing, number 1. Just past culture, maybe there should be a comma there. Cause it seemed
Oh, yeah.
Good.
culture geographic location,
Mhm.
that's all I said.
Where was that, Scott?
On the number 1, in a sense, second line, between culture and geographic location.
Oh, Okay.
Only thing I noted was that this is good foundation for our work, for vision and goals.
Mhm.
So I was glad that we found this.
That is, yeah, silent.
So, okay, nothing else?
Nope.
Second one for board organization, is there anything there? No? Okay. First reading's done. We'll Prove it at the next meeting, you have two more, right?
You can approve the first reading tonight.
Make changes in.
Get it done?
Yeah.
Okay,
Mhm.
is there a motion?
Yeah, I'll move that we approve both these policies as first reading.
Or you want to adopt them? Or no,
Yeah, I'm gonna,
You
I'm
can-
gonna read it out.
read it out.
Read out.
Okay.
Yeah, scratch that. I move that we read out these policies. As presented. As amended.
Second. Mark, second. Okay, all in favor? 5-0.
Yeah, that color.
Perfect. We will head down to new business. We have. Oh, boy, let's see who wants to fight over this. We're gonna go with Monica first. She got moved up and they didn't, so Monica,
So I found out about these government things where you can go purchase, one's called Gov Deals and the other one's Oregon Buys. That's what the supposed to use.
Gotcha.
And it's, they're bidding.
It's just a good site.
And I got a example from Grand High School about like when they put it in the surplus, if they just have a resolution from the board. And I looked up our policy and it matches what their policy is, so they can do that if that's something really, but, you can put it on, all of those sites, or whatever has to have it. If it's over $100, there has to be a bidding. So that's why they use.
so this is to get rid of that old bus. is
Yeah,
what-
or if you want to buy.
Or if we wanted to purchase a snow plow, we could do it through
Gotcha.
that as well.
Yeah, you bid on it, but.
Yeah. Alright,
And then.
the budget meeting,
Budget.
supplemental budget meeting.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
so I talked to the Oregon Department of Revenue and let them know, so what was happening is. We keep our student body accounts in the 700 fund. And that's where we keep them all year, and that's where we have our resolution, our appropriations are in the 700 fund. And then when we give it to Oregon Department of Ed, Sarah had it where it would roll up into the 200s, because that's where they want. And so we had been doing that all along, and our auditors roll it up into the 200 also, so it matches what we did to ODE. Well, ODE this year has decided they're actually taking our resolutions and matching them with our budget that we upload to them. And so they see that there's this difference between the 700 fund and 200 fund. So unfortunately, when you do a transfer, the Oregon Department of Revenues had said that it has to be within 10% of the fund budget. Well, the student body fund is most of the 700 budget, so we were way above the 10%. So I was looking through the class that I took last year from the Oregon Department of Revenue, and it said there are exceptions to these transfers. So I called Oregon Department of Revenue and they said, yes, you're not creating a new fund. You're not creating any new functions in those funds. All you're doing is transferring the money to another one. You're not adding any appropriations. You're not doing anything. All you're doing is transferring them. And she said, so you can just do that with the board resolution. So I talked to Sarah about it and she's like, oh, I would caution you. So I reached out to our auditors. And they got back to me today and they said, yes, you can just do a board resolution and move those funds over. So we'll do that, but I want to wait. We might do it in December, but Gail and Cameron and I today had meetings with ODE. Where they're the legislatures have reached out to them and asked them to put together, which I guess they do this every biennium, but for this one, they're worried and have meetings with all of us. to cut back 2.5% this year and 2.5% next year, for a total of 5%. So they're making cuts, they don't know where, and it's not up to them where, it's up to the legislature where. That won't happen until the legislative session, the short session they called it, so that's in March, and when that is February. So we still don't know, they said today we're gonna go off of what we were approved of for this year. And that, they won't make any cuts until next year, but they still haven't given us the SIA grant or the early literacy grant. We haven't got those agreements yet. So my hope is to wait for those so that I can update all the grants at once, and we can just have one resolution to move those funds and update the grants. So that's why I'm kind of not we didn't do it tonight.
So we won't need that meeting, it's just a resolution at the December or January meeting. Perfect. Any questions for Monica?
Eve's one.
Thanks for making all those phone calls.
Which one?
Oh, you had P-Band.
Oh, well, nothing.
That's all right.
Yeah, P-Band.
Oh, the P-band thing.
So they pushed that out, thank goodness. So they have a new, ODE came up with a new coding system for us. There was 7 sections of numbers with periods in between, now it's 11. And they changed everything, you know, how they're gonna see it, how they wanna see it budgeted and coded and everything, and they told us 2 weeks ago that they wanted this to happen within the next 6 months. And everybody, and then had it come apart, and so, they told us earlier this, I guess it was last Thursday, that they were pushing that out now to July 1st of 2027, so they're giving us 18 months to make all the changes and do it.
So we're still to do it, we just got more time.
Yeah, so we don't have to do it for this next budget, that would be for the following.
I think there was gonna be a business manager mutiny.
And I had,
Lots of open positions across the state.
I had, I might just jump in here, I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but I had a part of my superintendent report on the P-Band thing too. But mostly it's what Monica already said, someone's gonna tag team on that, then I can be done with this. I sent you guys, I usually a week or 2 ago, I think Janet, you forwarded that, there was a letter written by all those agencies in
Yep.
conjunction, okay.
It was on the board packet too, this time, but
Okay, that's the only other thing that I really had to add because. Everybody's trying to lobby against this because it was way too soon. On the meetings I've had, there's anybody that has completely changed over their accounting system says it takes 3 to 5 years to do that. They wanted us to have it done in 6 months. And we're just going half. And so they got it pushed out for not this summer, but next July 27. So that's what Monica's talking about. And part of that was because all those agencies got together and said, this can't happen. People were worried about how much money it was gonna cost them, and how much manpower it was gonna take that they didn't have. Kind of caused an uproar. So I sent you that letter when I got it, just because it was lengthy. And that's the only thing I know. They've kind of put the brakes on that at least for another year. So that's what we're looking at right now. And that pretty much covers what I had to mention as well. So I just mentioned that later.
perfect.
Yeah.
Alright. This better be stopped.
Well, I
Go
think the
easy.
biggest thing we had, maybe some discussion is the approval of CERTA.
Yeah, we have, CERTA is gonna be next on the next category, so we got that one.
Okay, so the only other thing I have is the maintenance plan and the Bureau Veritas report.
Okay. We didn't
Are you
get the
guys needing
maintenance
something?
plan,
There's a link to it.
There's a link to
but
it.
there wasn't prior.
Um,
I didn't
It-
see it in.
it was like you guys,
Last month.
like you guys have had the link since last year in the board stuff. I
Oh,
just,
okay.
I
It's
just,
Updated that.
I just updated the
Okay.
link for you guys. Yeah. Cause that, yeah,
Didn't catch that. All right.
And it's a pretty hefty report. I think, some of the things you'll read are fairly accurate, some maybe not so much. But really, if you look at the first 2 years, it doesn't show us having a lot of immediate needs, or it actually shows us throughout the whole report having no immediate needs. Obviously, you know, we can have the discussion later, but I would just agree with the roof. We did talk about that, but he never accessed the roof because of the steep slope. They're only allowed to access flat roof. So his opinion was from the bottom of the ground about 60 yards out in the parking lot.
We could have went up in the attic.
What's that?
Could have went up, yeah.
Could have went up in the attic, that's right, I mean, there's tons of room up there.
Yeah.
And if you guys are able to access the 7-year maintenance plan, I update it all the time, so I'm hoping it's updating on your guys' end. But I feel like we follow those needs pretty close. For the most part, you know, when you look at like the plumbing needs. I guarantee you, when you read the report, you're gonna find that their plumbing needs are the hot water. That's one thing you commented on. And the price, you know, I think the price is a little low for what they suggest, but they also told us that would be the case. So, and that's all I have for that.
Okay, Barry, just so you know, one of our district board goals is we created a committee, Mark and Dwight, kind of looking at capital projects. So eventually, when we start getting organized, you'll get pulled into that and have conversations with them. Really just to kind of forecast these big projects and see if we, you know, can even pull it off, or we need to lump them together and try to get funding.
Okay,
So,
no, sounds good.
any questions of Barry?
What was the plan you were referring to? Not the maintenance plan, but the first report?
Oh, that was our, Bureau Veritas, they came out this July. And they did a whole facility assessment.
Is that the
Is that
BV presentation?
That's this,
It's the BV presentation.
Assessments.
yeah, looks like this.
So, okay, so it started off with the AD and it goes deeper.
It's a pretty hefty
It was part of a grant that Oregon,
ordinance, yes.
they did it for every school, or they're still working. on
They're
it.
still, I believe we're year 2 maybe.
Yeah, for every school in the state, so that they can
Assess.
compare their schools and see.
But what we have a link to is just talking
Yeah.
about this report.
It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just talking about the report.
Yeah,
It's not
yeah,
actually
yeah.
a link to the report.
No, we're.
I was never given the report.
Oh, okay, that email I sent you today, Janet, that's what that was.
Oh, you sent an email today, huh?
And I thought you guys were sent the report too.
Well, we might have been
Earlier
Maybe
on,
so,
I
yeah.
remember seeing it.
Yeah.
but-
I think that was.
An email.
Or something.
Okay.
Yeah.
A while back. Remember, this is the report that said that we needed like a ramp up to the annex, so.
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That was
Right.
part of the ADA.
Nearly impossible.
And honestly,
Yeah, no, those were the two,
okay,
those were the two,
okay,
but none of them was that
okay,
report.
I want.
Cause yeah, you had 2 attachments and I put those 2
Okay.
on here. So there might be another attachment somewhere.
Okay, that, like Google said, maybe it was too large of an attachment, I'll look through and make sure we have the correct one.
Okay.
And if not, I can
Hmm.
print out. Just look for you guys.
But basically, they didn't catch our roof project. They didn't.
I felt they didn't, but he was looking at it from the ground,
Mhm.
you know, and I did tell him that Valley was leaking and. His suggestion when Garrett and Spearhead came out, he said that wasn't the case, so. He thought it was because. The ridge cap was too small for our building. And Garrett said it wasn't, it was small, but he said it wasn't. Or he didn't feel like it was leaking.
That report really is just try to get an idea of what school districts need, so they can maybe put some money toward it from the legislation.
Yep.
So
Yep.
it's probably not very comprehensive, but at least it gives us a little bit.
There's a
more
few starting points.
Snapshot, yeah,
Yep.
what we're doing, so. Good. Do we need to revisit that once we have time to review that stuff?
We can put it back on.
Or we
next
put it on
month
the
if you
board
want.
Put it back on for next month.
Or discussion for next meeting, just.
It's an interesting report to look at.
It is.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, and is there any reason why the committee can't meet with him? Cause it's only 2 members
No,
meeting
not, it's only 2
With him.
members, no reason at all.
prior to the meeting.
Yeah.
Then you guys can
Yeah.
just
And
Take a look at that.
so there'd be the big fat one and then also talk about the various lists. Or
Barry, on your list, the stuff that you've got red numbers next to, that's just estimates on that or?
That,
salaries?
yeah, and some of it is the time, so some of those estimates could be pushing a year old now.
Gotcha. And the only one on here that's done is your
Is
snowplow.
the snow plow for the item for stuff, the permit.
Gotcha. And is that number there, that was your estimate? Are you gonna update that with like, what was?
It was lower than that. It was, yeah, we didn't get that much for sure.
Perfect. Did we ever find anybody to do our holding tank inspection, or is that still just?
That's kind of interesting because opinions go back and forth. I don't remember if I talked to you guys about it or not, but someone had asked if we were having positive telephone tests. So no, my knowledge and from everything I found, we've only had one, and it was because the sink wasn't cleaned properly, there was actually nothing but water. So they questioned us, so why would we want to do it? If we weren't having issues with the tank, why would we want to open it up, risk getting out to sanitize it? So I think from a cleanliness standpoint, we don't really need to do it, but I would say, because I know there's floats in there, I would get a little concerned about those still. I'd like to know the condition of the floats, that kind of stuff, but as far as from a cleanliness standpoint, I think we're fine. Because like I said, our water tests are all coming back good.
But their originals to the school have never been checked.
To my knowledge, yep.
There you go. All right, 6.2 showed up on your superintendent contract. Think we need to talk about that after the exec session. That's
Yeah, it
okay.
was just new business,
Yeah.
so.
So we'll put that down into board communication. Somewhere, or
Well, no, we can
just move a new
Yeah.
business item.
Yeah.
down.
we can just revisit it.
Okay. Action items, so we all got that CERTA document. Is there any questions about that that Barry can answer before we put that up for a vote? That's basically for the engineer for the roof, so we get an idea of what the estimate might be for the project.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant on the whole roofing project, to be honest.
You tell.
Well, I guess and yeah, I don't wanna come across like I'm throwing Barry under the bus, cause, there's a leak, Barry's like, we gotta fix this leak, and so we say, well, get a professional look at it and see what we need to do. And the professional comes and says, roof's bad, need to replace it. I was up a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and I thought, I'm not a professional roofer, let me say that, so, but I have been around a few roofs. I didn't think it was as bad as this guy seemed to say. I mean, in my opinion, when a composite roof starts aging, you start getting loose. The gym roof is starting to get that way, it's got 25 years on it. When they start getting loose, then the wind blows them and you're in a bad way. The leaks appear to be like a valley. And then around some of the protrusions going through it, but not necessarily the composite roofing itself. In my opinion, it looks like a 15-year-old roof that could go another 5 to 10 years very easy. So I'm not sure I really want to change the whole thing out just because of a few local leaks. Those leaks got to be fixed. That's the next thing I'm going to say. If we can't fix those leaks, yeah, we can't keep living with it. I mean, I'm not going there, but I'm not, and I've never met the HKI guy. but I'm not quite as confident in his opinion right now.
He wasn't, but then it was an active roofing company. In Plymouth Falls.
And the guy did say from the roofing company that, because when he was looking at it, like I told you guys before. They pulled every permit they could find, they could never find a permit for the original, for the roofing replace, so he was assuming it was 30-some years old, except for a 30-some-year-old roof, it looked really good. But he said, you know, it is showing signs of where you had the leak in the valley. And he did say though, he thought we could get it to 5 years out. He said, you know, hey, but it needs to be replaced in the next 5 years. Looking at price and forecast, we thought, why would we want to wait 5 years to replace it when it can be done? Because that valley would be their quote. To replace the valley with 25,000 maybe, just for the one valley. And that's where he had said if it was him and the roof needed to be replaced in 5 or, you know, 3 to 5 years. He said that he would probably just target if the leaks to stop and then replace the roof, because he didn't see the point in redoing the whole valley for 25 grand and 5 years later doing the whole roof. And the gym roof he did look at, and he was shocked that it wasn't already leaking. But, you know, like I said, that is one guy's opinion. You know, reason off leaking.
Yeah.
And Chris, K from HMK, he's just a project manager.
Okay.
Yes, he just runs the project basically.
I mean, so I guess the trouble I have is it's $1 million project, the last 25 years. Do the math, that's about 40,000 years, what it costs to have a roof, I mean, if you're. That's just,
New wrestling room and. Maybe,
it's leaking over there as well.
yeah, and it's sleeping in Chris's room,
Okay, yeah, no, I wasn't aware of that.
yeah, it's not just the room.
It's a Daryl found several spots. And the one back there sounds like it's been a while, and you pop tiles, you can't see, there's so much room up there. You know, you're looking 12 feet at least, you could actually take the roof with flashlight, and then you're looking through this much insulation and wires through the ceiling and all that stuff. It's really hard to pinpoint.
Is that part of, would that be part of the original gym roof then? That section?
Right there, that is. It's part of the gym roof after steam, but it's fine. If that makes any sense. So if you go up there, there's a big seam where the gym roof starts and school.
Right, but it's part of the part that was never redone.
Correct, yes, everything that was redone is, or, you know, the new size, I guess what I'm thinking about right now, all that's fine.
Right.
But that would be the original red. Gym roof, I guess.
So the big gym,
The big one, yes.
Red.
that's the original.
Or heading out towards the line.
So we've only had the roofing company from Klamath
Spearhead.
out here.
And at the time, they were one of the only ones we could get out here. And like I said, I had tried, didn't get anyone out, Chris was able to get someone out in 2 weeks.
Nobody from Redmond or whatever. The only thing I followed up on, go ahead.
We could, or if we just wanted to get a second opinion before we move forward, you could call that guy that I sent you that does commercial out of Bend.
Yeah.
And I could put some pressure on him.
The only thing I wanna make sure of is because I believe we did hire 50K as project manager. So I would have to contact him and make sure, or have him contact someone who technically, I think now would fall into his responsibility.
Gosh,
Or make sure it doesn't, make sure that still on some of the paperwork.
so we could either find out whether he needs to do it or we need to do it.
Yes, and
Give
that's
us-
definitely a.
Give a second opinion one way or the other,
Yeah.
kind of what you're thinking.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's my fault is I'm 4 months late on an opinion, so. I mean, back when But
No.
once we hire the project manager, I'm kind of like waiting, right?
But we haven't spent $1 million yet, and I don't know where the $1 million is coming from, we don't have a financial plan for that.
Yeah.
And that's what's got me a little bit concerned in the next budget round.
Yeah.
The only thing I was able to do, I researched. I didn't understand CERTA that well, not being in that world, but my brother-in-law built schools. And so I called him and said, Bruce, is this typical or whatever? And he goes, I don't understand why you guys are hiring a project manager and that, just go get some roofer contract bids first and then do it. He said, you're losing 5% of your budget by doing that. And I said, well, some of that's already in motion, some of it's to protect us because we got other things to do. And he goes, well, that's fine, but he said, I would get 2 or 3 roofers out there at 58,000 square feet. There's gonna be companies wanting to do that, so, he was kind of.
Right, but it's over a
That
certain
was
dollar,
just,
so we have to go through the bid process. We have to do it according to the law. And there's a bunch of laws that Barry and I don't know, that's why we went with the budget.
and that's fine,
Yeah,
but I think at this point, we just tell the project manager, we would like to get a couple more roofing contractors to just look and see what our options are, rather than to dive into a whole brand new roof. You know, maybe it's just the gym, or,
but if
I
we were
don't
doing the gym, we wanted to go, it's got leaks everywhere.
yeah,
There and there.
we got the money, Monica, man.
Well, I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I don't know why you want to do it twice, but you want to.
Barry, do you have any idea? A bunch of those protrusions come like the, you know, for the exhaust and things like that.
Right.
Have those been, has there been a professional roofer try to seal those in the last 5 years that you know? Do you have any idea?
I do not know. The Gary said that there weren't the correct vent covers or vent caps. He said now I guess they have a rubber and they seal basically from the inside, or you put a sealant on for this. So he said basically every style we have, he said you would almost want to reseal every single one of them every year. To make sure you didn't have an issue with them.
Yeah.
But
Which-
he never said what you know, whether you're using tar or silicone, he never said, he just said. You know, for what was up there, they probably wanna go up and seal every year, you know, July.
And we haven't done it probably. Oh,
Yeah, like you said, they're just not the correct. And like the HVAC unit and stuff like that, the way they're mounted or sealed, just isn't how they do it.
Yeah, I'm sure that's correct.
Yeah.
I just think we could probably hire a professional roofer for 4,000 a year to seal all those dust. And get another 5 years out of it. That's my opinion, but maybe not. I mean, that's the problem with roofs, you don't. Can't guarantee. No,
so we got. You said there's a leak over here. One in the weight room.
When
One of
we
those
had all that
holes.
snow, that was the one spot that did leak when we had the snow, but we couldn't really tell. Gary said he had noticed. Certain times, a certain amount of snow, he thought the snow would freeze and pull up the shingles and it would melt and run underneath them.
I Sam.
So, but it not being up there, how do you tell? How do you know? Just, there were a few leaks during certain snows going, but not different there, we didn't do it.
Two weeks in the office that I know of,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a couple in the office.
yeah,
Are those both stemming from that valley?
I think so, it's hard to
Yeah, it
tell.
looks like it's
I
right.
think one is in place.
and that's part of the struggle, there's been 3 different. Maintenance managers, or whatever your title is,
You know,
in charge of that roof, and so don't really know what's happened over the years. But when I look at it, I'm like, we got problems here, and 90% of that roof it's in good shape, you know. But if you can't seal it, you can't seal it. If it's my house, I'd seal it. Move on. That's how.
Ice and bucket.
$1 million another month.
Yeah,
So if we're not gonna approve Serta tonight, do we wanna? Is it just?
Just
whether it's
know that-
Barry or,
But if we don't, if we slow down and whatever, it's not gonna happen. We're gonna get both.
Yeah, my trouble with CERT is I don't know what they're doing except for doing the project manager's job for him.
No, Serta is the engineer. Engineer do the plans, but they're from the-
We're just putting a roof on, we're not engineering.
Think about everything you have to do as school as an engineer. That's what I do. Am I wrong about that, Larry?
there's several different places that I've read, and there's some of them conflict, some of them say a building over 4,000 square foot a public building over 4,000 square foot, any improvement has to be engineered. But, you know, I guess you could probably find somewhere else where we disagree with that. But I have gotten the answer back from this.
Yeah, to say the first person to ask could be Chris, I would,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, kind of what my contact said was the engineering part probably was appropriate, but he didn't think project manager was appropriate.
Which would be true if we knew what we were doing.
And that's what I told Bruce. I said, well, we all got other things to do. We need somebody that's dedicated to it. But then you read through CERTA and it's like, well, okay, so what is the other guy doing? But I mean, if they're lining up the other contractors and bids and stuff, I suppose they're working together, but it's 32,000 for CERTA. And I don't remember what.
What's
Where it's spent 27.
Yeah, and so that's a moot point, but do we wanna go with CERTA piece? Would CERTA give us enough clarity to know that it's an $800,000 project, not $1 million project? I don't know, or $1.5 million.
Or could the project manager get some second or third opinion out here, so we get an idea before we spend it on. Well, I guess like the building process, but yeah.
Well, and then it's the project manager's job to go out after they have it all engineered, and it's the project manager's job to take that information, go out and seek bids.
Speak to those.
And that's when we're gonna know, oh, do we have somebody that'll do it for it? Because when we say $1 million, I think the number you said was 900,
The school they did in Redmond was like 890,000.
8 or 9,000.
But they
So,
don't feel comfortable, I don't think you felt comfortable throwing that number out. They've been
No,
saying
no.
it's done over
Yeah,
here.
not till
Right.
what driver out and everything else is up there.
Yeah.
So
right.
And that was another concern where boards in the valley. Not rotten, you can see some of them from the underneath side. And I wouldn't say they're stained for sure, but I wouldn't say they're rotten. From what you can see. Yeah,
anywhere in that CERTA contract, does it say a expiration for the project timeline?
so from what I could read it. Basically, this Thurda will be a part of the project from beginning to end. So it sounds like they come out and do weekly checks. They assess the roof. Design it essentially, you know, with covers, drafts, what kind of underlaying and whatnot. But then as the process, as the shingles get taken off. As the new underlayment gets put on, the shingles get put on, vents, that kind of stuff. They come out and check and make sure it's being done according to how they suggested to do it. Because they're the ones making sure there's no water penetration. So Chris basically explained to me, like, CERTA is a insurance policy, I guess, to
Yeah.
make sure, because he said a regular engineer could come out. And do it, but they're not nearly as detailed. They're not gonna catch the stuff that CERTA would, because they're an envelope consultant. And if you guys want a better explanation, as long as I know the questions to ask, I can call Chris and ask him.
Well, my point is if we slow down the project, if we do have 5 years or whatever, and we bring in another contractor and they say, yeah, you're good, we just need to Band-Aid these areas. Are we gonna lose that 32,000 over 4 or 5 years of delay? Because CERTA's not being used yet, or? I didn't read that. If
Or
it's,
assume they're 1-year deal, good enough.
yeah.
That's the way I read it. I mean, no.
Yeah, I can answer that question. I've got the whole thing right here, and he goes into some quite detail about
didn't read
what
out
they
fine
do.
print at the end though. So,
I mean, the trouble with roofing where it's used is it's always someone else's fault. It's the HVAC guy that scrubbed the
True.
valley all the way up, you know, I mean, it's never the guy that put the shingles down to start with. And that's usually pretty true. It's not the installation, it's the use of the time. But this is where they do it. $32,000.
I mean, it protects you, and on $1 million project, it's not done. And I think Monica's right, there's probably some legality pieces, we have to have that engineering component to it, but
They also in the contract, they carry the workman's comp insurance and stuff like that for the project. But
So maybe that's a question though, as we. That we need to know is how long does that sort of. If they're hired today. Is that 32,000 cover us or an estimate to cover us to get us through the project by August 31 of next year? Or if we delay that, if we,
27.
right, if we delay that, it'll be.
So what were your budgets got? I don't know, I'm trying to pull up notes so I can make sure I.
Oh, I'm not sure I really had a question.
Basically, if we were to,
there's an expiration date.
if we were to assign a date, is there an expiration date, or if we, through the project proposal process, decide that. We're not gonna do it this next summer, we're gonna do it the following summer, or something like that, will our. $32,000 still extend?
No, I found it,
Well, HMK's.
page 17, number 2, terms of contract and duration of work. The term of this contract shall be from October 16th, 2025 to November 31st, 2026. Work shall be performed in this time frame as required by the project schedule with the following sections. Preparatory work performed by HMK outside of the stated time frame is integrated into the agreement as authorized work and to be compensated as set forth.
Is that the document by Certical by HMK?
That's the HMK one.
No, this is. Earlier talking about that. Hearing.
I will say that the only other thing that crossed my mind when, that crosses my mind when thinking about this is if we look at Barry's list and kind of what he's got coming up, and we look at this big document from Veritas, and yes, it makes sense that the further you go down the years, the more maintenance you're gonna have, because things wear out, you do better all, and that facility needs to become greater as you go out through the years. We have very little right now. My concern about it is if we delay this project, is it then just gonna stack on to other stuff down the line? And then are we gonna, our expenses won't be as spread out over time as we can make them? That was my thought. You guys can do with that what you want, but just something else to consider, I believe.
Yeah, I think the balloon's gonna get big. And that's why we kind of wanted to initiate that committee, just to see if, you know, if we're stringing these things out, or do we try to start lumping them together and God forbid, go out for bond or something, but somehow to pay for them. I mean, I would be curious. I don't want to put Monica on the spot, but for our budget, how would this work in a budget situation for $1 million for
We would
next?
budget for it next year. So, that 5 billion.
So the contingency would cover that, and then.
Yeah, and that's where I would see it if we didn't if we were able to Band-Aid it for 5 years, we better be putting 150,000 a year into a roofing account,
Right.
in a capital improvement account. So that in 5 years, we've got a pretty good start on.
Or even if you get,
Because it's
even
gonna
if you get a new roof, you should be putting 40 grand into a roofing account for.
It should be here really, because that roof we just put on
Depreciation.
5 years ago.
But that's based on today's cost though.
We have 410 right now
Okay.
in the capital improvements account.
I mean, the frustrating thing to me is this roof's only 15 years old. And so. We can put a brand new one up here. And 15 years from now, if we've drug enough HVAC units up the valley. We'll have holes in the valley, even the roof. I mean, that's,
We're gonna do away with the valley, no more valleys.
we're valleys.
Flat roof.
Flat roof.
Flat roof, then they can get up there and inspect it more often.
That's right. They could-
Yeah.
Yeah, snow tile.
Better exit.
Okay, so that's productive. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anything else? Do we have a motion?
We don't get any rain here, so.
We were talking about Serta, not the whole roof project, so.
Back to.
My concern is the duration that's established within the contract currently is going through October of next year. If we have any doubt about whether or not it's going to be completed next summer, then I don't want to sign this contract that, we owe them $32,000 and potentially they didn't actually do anything.
So if you make a motion to have whatever, the contractor. Get another bid, roofing bid.
Or just in.
Or we initiate Serta.
Opinion,
I don't know.
consultation, yeah, I don't.
But I think you're right on your earlier statement, looking further, that is HMK's duration. That's
Yeah,
not
that's
Sarah's.
HMK, it says HMK on there.
Yeah. So the page 17 is a start of HMK's document. So did not see it in the CERTA document.
So I think we've talked to certain, whether it's HMK, I don't know who you're talking to, talk to somebody. Find out what the duration on CERTA is. Before we sign it, and then even if we have to, if it's like, okay, yeah, that's the route we're gonna go, we can call a special. Zoom meeting and vote on it to get it done quickly, but that way we know that we're not locking ourselves into a 1 year thing. In the meantime, talk to HMK, find out whether you can call on a second opinion or if it has to go through HMK at the, whichever.
So I would say,
And potentially get a second opinion.
let's start there if that's what you want, because if we're not convinced on replacing the roof, Serta would be. You know, there's no point in hiring, both consultant to,
Right.
so let's just,
Unless it's something that it's open ended, the sort of thing would last for 5 years. If we figure we're gonna do this in the next 5 years, then okay.
and yeah, it would surprise me if that was the case, but I can get a hold of Chris Wednesday. And ask him, that's that ain't comfortable. That sound good?
Is everybody okay now?
It's fine.
Does that require a motion?
Postponing the vote, or
Just be prepared, because Chris did say, in order to get this done by next summer, we have to do. it. So this probably delayed.
That'd be a question, I think.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so far it's been a really mild winter.
Hey, if it keeps going like this. We might get.
We can even be ripping it
return
up.
that sort of class.
That's right. Just save us $3,000.
So the motion would read something like, moving to postpone the sort of, the sort of contract until we get more information.
Did you get that, Jim?
Yeah. Yeah.
We're gonna postpone the Serta.
And see what it takes.
Preston, are you gonna make that motion?
Yeah, I moved that we temporarily postpone the vote on the sort of contract. Pending. Discovery of further.
Gonna have a verification.
Yeah.
Are we gonna ask for another contractor inspection? Or is that gonna be
And a
another
second opinion?
motion?
Does that need to be in the motion to task Barry with that?
To clarify what he's doing, so we don't forget it.
Motion. From column A
Oh, on C, but that's.
Have our maintenance manager inquire about second opinion on the project.
I just put in, I'm just gonna put in what you guys just said before. So postpone it until we gather more information and then parentheses, find out about the duration on the CERTA proposal before we vote and talk to HMK for a second opinion
Yeah.
on the roofing project. That, or seek a
The only
second,
other
maybe just seek a second opinion on the roofing project.
I guess the only other question there is. We, like you guys said, we've got to get through the winter yet, and the project, even if we approve it tonight, is not gonna happen until next summer. What do we need to do to seal this thing up, so we don't have more damage?
$25,000, right?
If, well.
No, that was
today's
replaced.
bid.
Yeah, that was to replace that hole, and so far. Last week, we didn't have any moisture getting through in that valve where we put the tar.
Okay,
How much
so
is the
just,
tar?
Doesn't go very far, let's put it that way, it's, $180 some bucks to 2.5 gallons maybe. But like I said, there's two.
But you're not sure where exactly the
That's
leaks
the
are.
problem, yeah, you can look up there, and I did, by the history room, I did hit some of that with, there were a few areas where if you just look. You'd tell the shingles, they weren't coming out, but they were that, but like I said. In this, when it's warm out, and you go to grab the shingles, they don't move. I don't know, like Gary said, in the winter, he thinks if the snow freezes and lifts and melts under it. Well, if that's happening, I don't know. But by the both areas I walked through and get with tar, and actually at the end of last year. We had one of those areas over by the dryer, not walking in the same laundry room that I hit. And it seemed to get better, but it was also leaking in this thing, so. You know, I don't. We get it, I hit it again this last. Summer when I first did the.
Are we too late in the year to even put tar up there, it's too cold?
Yeah, I mean, really, it probably do make like a wet patch tar, like, good word, really, you get. Covering and area of the amount of tar holes in until the hole essentially.
So to get through this,
I wanna go.
buckets to put in.
I wanna go ahead and let's handle your motion for the CERTA and those two pieces around those questions. So is there a second with that? Okay, all those in favor and postponement of that decision? We got 5-0. Scott, you wanna make another motion? For immediate maintenance,
I'm not sure how to word that, but
or we can kind of talk this through. You kind of mentioned, could we hire somebody for $4 or $5 grand? Just to keep this maintenance to this roof going annually until we replace the whole thing or something.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm not really expecting Barry to try to figure out how to seal a roof,
Right,
but I don't see why we can't hire somebody to come out. Get it through the winter,
and Band-Aid us through this winter.
but it costs $5,000-6,000, it's pretty cheap.
okay. So
What's
that's why I
that?
said-
right,
So that's why I said 25,000, but that's not the project you're thinking of, you think just kind of tarring it like he's been doing, only have someone that.
Yeah, for two.
Stealing the vents and
Like I said, I've got a contact that does a roofing company in Bend that was interested in the whole project. I asked him if, or if Barry's doesn't rain, call him and say, hey. This is a longer, you maybe even dangle a carrot, you know, hey, this is a longer term project that we need to do, but we need to get through this winter. Would you be able to come out? And do some,
We want, what's our cap there, though, I mean, I don't want this to snowball either, and the next thing we know, we just spent 30 grand,
yeah,
you know what I mean? Which I'll reach out to him, but I just wanna know, where do we stand there?
approve it up to an amount.
It's $10,000.
Well, it has to be the 25,000, you know, the 3 bids. We can't just,
Do we wanna do like this, and that much money?
what was the limit to get bids?
I think it's 20.
I think so, yeah.
No, we were thinking for patchwork,
10,000
maybe we just up to $10,000.
We're thinking
For
up to
tar work. You get a lot of tar work done for 10 grand, I would think. Maybe not.
Yep.
Football team, community service credit,
Didn't we up that? Minimum,
Yeah, it used to be 10.
Just get-
yeah, signed it up to 50.
Do we have a motion?
If they can spend up to 15 without talking to us, do we need one?
True. Well, it's just,
Very
I
wide
think
direction.
more of a motion.
Yeah,
like you want
So,
them
so
to
I'm
do,
thinking, I'm
because-
thinking if you're gonna set an amount, then it needs to be over 15 and up to.
Yeah, so bottom line, you're just so I understand, so if we find somebody to do what you're talking about, and just patch it for this year, then we're definitely not looking at doing anything at all, so it's gonna be completely off the table for doing anything. for
Not
next year then.
necessarily, but the
They're-
roofing project's not gonna happen until next summer anyway.
We still got.
And we still have leaks happening
Right,
in the winter time, so we don't wanna have
Damage, further damage.
further damage to summer, to either,
okay,
not so.
right, okay, so we want somebody to get it patched for now. Want Barry to find somebody else that's gonna give us another, like, bid on it. Basically, or to have another look, another
Bid.
opinion, not a bid, but another opinion.
Yep.
Okay, so those two things. And then if he says, yeah, your roof is a mess and you need to get something done with it, then we can go forward with and planning and talking about it.
Sure.
We just want someone else to. kind of-
We just don't want to sit on the clock if we're gonna be able to delay it for a little bit of time.
Yeah,
or
we get a second opinion, he's like, oh yeah, patch this, this and this, and then you're good for 5 years,
Mhm.
then we can,
Budget the heck out of it and
Yeah.
be prepared.
or even for the next 3 years, we can put. Try to set 300,000 aside each year, and then that's this massive thing,
Okay. So do we need a motion?
does that make
Spend
sense?
up to 10,000
Yeah.
on,
I don't think you need a motion to spend unless you plan on going over 15.
Right, you just need a motion.
You just need a motion
You know
to,
what to do, because it's different than what we've been doing, planning on.
so
I move that Barry move forward with finding temporary solutions to get our roof through this winter.
Second opinion.
That's
That's already.
It's not-
That's
yeah,
already, that's already,
second motion.
just, yeah, temporary repairs to get through this.
just take a solution for immediate maintenance,
Yeah.
tar on the roof to get us through the winter.
No,
Perfect. Is there a second?
second.
All in favor? Motion passes 5-0. Whew, that was a lot longer than we thought, wasn't it, Barry?
Oh, man,
Did you second that?
I didn't start a timer, that's all right.
Well, sorry, it's just,
Hey,
it's a
no,
spooky deal.
That's right.
And I think we all kind of been thinking about it since the last meeting and we hate to slow it down, you know, like Monica says, you hate to not get into that queue to get the work done, but on the other hand, if we can gain ourselves a year, we'd hate to have Serta on board and lose that money and then have to do it again. You know, because we may not find anybody to do it next summer, and so now we're already pushed out, so I'm just, that makes me a little leery, so.
Yeah, it's not every day you just spend, but
Yeah, no,
I guess you're in the town.
yeah, I saw that today, Chris. Okay,
No more questions, guys?
I hope not.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
You know my number. All right, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Barry.
Yep.
Thanks, Barry.
Have a good evening.
Okay. 7-2, revisit the approval for Starlink. Apparently this was approved last meeting. I was not here, I read something about it. Okay, so, who's spearheading that to revisit?
I put that on there because the topic came up and I just thought if you want to revisit that, if you're uncomfortable spending that amount of money on that. In light of the budget issue, then you can, we haven't, nothing has been spent yet. If you want to keep it as it is and yep, we want to do that, then great. If you don't, we haven't spent the money, nothing's been ordered, so you can do that. I just wanted you to know that.
And that's for 5 units, is that right?
One, yeah, 4 mobile, 1.
One
For the
mobile and one
school.
for the school, uh-huh,
Mhm.
that's right.
I don't remember the value.
But yeah, we have.
And I'm not-
Out on it.
It was $8,000.
I'm not necessarily, it was 8,000 something, and the information I got from Nick today said the approximate cost for equipment and subscription for the school is the one-time purchase of $2,000, I'll say, $199. And the subscription is $65 a month for minimum service. That would be in case the internet went down here at the school. Then the buses were different and
That puts us on standby, basically. And
55.
then if our internet actually goes out, then it would ramp up, but you only pay for that. But
I see.
you pay $65 a month until you use it.
So it's like,
yeah. And then the buses, Jubal, we voted to put them on there too. And like I say, I'm not trying to talk you guys into out of this. It just came up at the last meeting. I thought, well, we haven't ordered anything, so if you did want to change your mind, it's not too late to do.
I went to Gala at basketball games with it. But some, about some,
Budget.
there was a thing where for Nevada State that they were gonna maybe cut this year's instead of stick with normal stuff, and I was like, do we really need that Starlink thing or not? Not huge money, but. Yeah, already, yeah, we could always put establish on it.
Yeah.
It is a big deal. Like they said, work completely shut down if we don't have some sort of backup.
yeah. What's our extended cost on it? So this year, I'm guessing it's heavier expense and then,
Yeah, you wouldn't have to, but
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it was $8,000 this year with the equipment and everything, and he said here, service for the 4 buses and the school. Once the equipment's already been purchased is around 39 a year. Unless the school actually uses it some extent time, that would be.
Yeah.
Higher.
for the buses we use.
And we liked it for the, because you weren't here, Dan, we liked it for the buses and Jubal did too, so that they
Right.
have. For all the places you go, that you don't have, it's a safety issue. You
The
don't
other
have to
thing
purchase.
is, if we did do it on the buses, I thought that's for game coach and stuff, we'd wanna, probably develop some sort of policy around it, like it's just for the driver and maybe coaches, that you give the Wi-Fi password out to
Yeah.
athletes.
And if you don't want to decide on this item at this moment, you might want to hear what Monica and I have to say about our budget update first before you make any decision. You can do that as well too.
Okay,
It might give you some
we'll
context.
table this till after that discussion. Is that fair?
That's
Somebody remind me?
you already talked about it.
Well, you did. I just had a little bit of other stuff too,
In
and
your report,
a little more detail.
whatever it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Everybody's fine with that, we'll table?
Yep.
Okay, it should be a motion, but we'll just move on. District policy review, first reading we did, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah, and voted, so we're good.
good. School reports, VPAD report,
I kind of got it all since Aaron's moved on, so
Good.
looking back, the FFA soils, advanced soils team finished 3rd at the state. And qualified for the national contest in May in Oklahoma City. They're just outside Oklahoma City, so we're working on the logistics of that trip. And then we will be, FFA is hosting the state officer later this week. Held our parent teacher conferences October 22nd and 23rd. We had a new format where both ends had the conferences in the evenings on the same days. And that seemed to go well. I think we may have gotten more high school parents coming in and chat with teachers, which is good. October 29th, we offered the PSAT for our sophomores and the SAT for our seniors. And any interested juniors during the school day. This is the second time we've done it. This just removes one more barrier for the kids applying for the daily fund. If they meet their other requirements, they've got an SAT to submit. And just another measurement for us as well, between the sophomores and seniors, because state test is with the juniors. Veterans Breakfast, had that last week on Thursday the 6th. We had a few new veterans in attendance this year, and overall numbers seem to be up. Ms. Hand arranged for the band of others to present the colors and explain what each fold of the flag represents, which was pretty cool. We got a lot of positive reviews about that. Ms. Hand's drama class, FFA chapter advisors, elementary staff, and the students did an amazing job. They were starting to get peaked by the elementary kids. They were pretty well behaved. Other than Williamson. Student athletes are starting to make the transition from fall sports to winter. As we were discussing a little bit earlier, before we went live, volleyball made it to the final four for the second year in a row. Prior to last year, that had only happened one other time. From everybody's historical knowledge. This year, they brought home the first volleyball state trophy, placing sixth. And the team was also awarded the sportsmanship award, so that's pretty neat. Football qualified for the state playoffs for the third year in a row, and a depleted team lost to Sherman in the first round. Prior to 2023 season, Northlake football had only qualified for the playoffs on 2 other occasions. On a roll with our playoff runs on both our fall team sports. And on the individual side, Caroline Taylor posted in cross country, posted the 10th best time for 1A girls in the state. Unfortunately for Caroline, the girls cross country is 1 through 3A combined. So there will only, I believe, 12 1A cross country runners represented at the state. Kind of, there's been a lot of discussion about trying to split that or doing some other way so that there is, you know, their big buzzword is equity and proportionality. Well, we've got 98 districts and world runners are represented. That doesn't seem very proportional.
Yeah.
When one team, when I was looking at it, was a co-op of 2 1A schools, and their combined AGM would make them a 3A school. And they had like 20 runners on their roster, so instead of being 2 separate 1As, they co-op and were one of the teams that qualified for the state meet. So that doesn't seem quite equitable either. And then more on the academic side. Miss Scarborough Yeomans, and the 4 girls taking the biology 222 made their first trip to the OIT campus for a full day of lab work and completed their midterm exams. They are all representing Northlake very well and are well prepared for the labs and the tests. At the end of the year, they will have completed the prerequisite biology sequence for any degree in the medical field. So it's not the entry level bio 101. It's that next step up. And then I think it's next week, they're scheduled to go down there again. So they go down twice a quarter. On campus, and then actually I think they're gonna try to bring one of the grad students up. Because our facility is capable of having materials and completing some of the lab work on our campus. So I hope we're looking out pretty good. I think next year we're gonna try a rotation. They offer an environmental science class as well. But both are asynchronous, so there's getting teaching through Zoom with kids from Bonanza, Boston River, Gilcrest, Lakeview. Not sure if Paisley's got any. So it seems like we're, like the first day, we were the only ones ready and prepared and had everything working. With technology and all of that. So,
How many kids do we have on that right now?
4.
4.
Yeah, so. 2 seniors. 2 sophomores. Right now, they're all getting A's and B's, so.
Good.
That's, like I said, pretty advanced. College class. That's all I've got, this is that questions.
No, but I did have a comment, kind of related to that. I just realized that because we accept the transportation report now within the consent agenda. We don't have anywhere on our agenda outside of that for Jubal to give us any kind of an update, and he's sitting here waiting patiently.
Yeah,
And
and
if he's
the whole-
got something to
The
say,
whole point of that, yeah, is that he doesn't need to unless he has something to present. Yeah.
just. If you're sitting here waiting to say something, I was like, there's no spot. So.
Good pizza, though, you can have that pizza.
I'd probably do it at home first. Okay, well,
Thank you.
if that's the case, then we're good. I just-
We appreciate you here, though, in case we do pull that off a consent agenda and have some questions, but we'll try to give you a heads up, maybe. On that too, so.
How are we on winter sports?
Right now, I think we're fully staffed and it looks like we've got enough kids to. Field all 3 teams, basketball, boys and girls basketball. And
Who are boys coaches?
Brian Bader and Zach. And head coaching position was agreed upon as a 1-year interest.
And we're not co-opting, correct?
And to link the handful of kids they had interest in, but those sort of have balls that they.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
Any updates, Cameron, on the discipline plan that's been in place for a couple of months?
I think overall it's going good. We've been using Alma as basically our reporting system. So when a teacher inputs something, it gets sent out. Aaron and I'll get an email of what it is. So then we can go down. Like it's phone, go down, deal with that right then and there. The only, again, if teachers don't let us know, hard to deal with an issue if they haven't let us know. EAs still have to go paper pencil when they're writing the kid up. So sometimes I don't get those till like the next morning or after school. So, a little bit of a delay dealing with those types of things. Those usually aren't big issues. It's something I'm putting down. Typically. Overall, I gotta update my cell phone high flyers. A few that are pushing the 3.
Mhm.
So if I can get some parent phone calls on that.
Overall though, was it?
Yeah, I mean, there's. That's it, but. Hit the 3 mark. Couple that hit that pretty early. Either got sneakier or I finally put them away.
Mhm. And I do think teachers have been better, and I told them again at PLCs today too. Be sure you're writing them up. And I said, if we're behind on it, I said, that's Cameron's and my fault for not being, not getting handled quick enough and dealt with, but I said, keep writing them up, we'll catch up to you this week. We had a crazy week with all those sports and stuff last week, so we didn't have as much time to spend on that as we usually do in a day, so. But I think they are better, don't you, Cameron?
Yeah.
As far as writing them up,
Yeah,
then we can see them and where they are.
yeah.
How about overall impact on the school? Is it?
I think it's better. I mean, like I said, the biggest thing is we get. The information quicker, especially.
Well, actually, I meant the no cell phones.
Or like the attitude or,
Yeah,
um,
cyberbullying, just whatever nonsense.
I heard some comments at the very beginning of school about that they liked it better, but I haven't heard anything lately.
Yeah.
That they like it better. Yeah,
I've only been any.
no. But I think teachers are paying more attention to what they're doing during class and writing them up for work, which is the thing that we needed.
Gotta make sure kids are getting on, now they're sneaking into their Chromebooks.
Yeah.
It's become the news.
Mhm.
Anything else? Yeah,
My turn.
superintendent.
Okay, right, so I already talked about the P-BAM thing, I'll go over that again. Monica mentioned some stuff about the budget financial outlook, she was on the OASB meeting today, Cameron and I were on the, COSA and ODE one today, yeah. And the only thing I want to say, I thought we were gonna learn lots of details today, we did not. So I'm gonna tell you once again, we really don't have a lot of details about what's gonna happen and when. The only thing I will say that they mentioned today is that this is basically just an exercise. They were asked to, by the legislature, come up with a plan if you were gonna reduce this much, or how to reduce. What was the $1 million amount? 18 million.
8 million if it was a 2.5% reduction, I can't remember.
Twice that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so if you were to reduce this amount, where would you do it? So there isn't a set amount that they're gonna take it out of any one pot, at least that's what they said. And they don't know if they have to do it at all this year. It's just an exercise. It still has to go back to the legislature. And then they have to vote on what are they gonna do, and then they'll decide based on what they're gonna do, what's the recommendation, where they're gonna take it out of. So all they've come up with is, here's a practice sort of pretend scenario, basically, if we're gonna cut budgets, here's where we do it. They focused on keeping everything like, be minimal cuts to programs, core programs that most directly affect students. Which I agree with that. However, when they mentioned PET and FFA, that's in Fearless through the roof. And, we said that's not gonna fly in our district, and, several of us did, and, but then they came back to that and said, but if we don't have to cut that much, then that is on the list of one thing they would put back. Better. So it's this kind of stuff. So they're mentioning exactly what programs, but at the same time, it's don't cut anything yet. But I'm afraid if you get there and they do cut that, it's gonna be stuff that a lot of us don't like. So I hope that, we don't get there. They're wanting us to not panic at the same time. They want us to be prepared for if we do have to make cuts. So when we came out of all that, and if you hear, I wanted to mention the 2.5% and 5%, like you just said, because you guys on being connected with OSBA, you might hear that 2.5 and 5%. What that is 2.5% possibly this year and another 2.5% next year, total of 5, not 2.5 plus another 5. Okay, that's different. It'd be 5 total, 2.5 plus 2.5. That makes a difference. So that's one scenario that they are talking about. That's one they talked with us about today. So right now, that's, if they can't give us an exact answer, then you don't know exactly what we're gonna be either, other than what I already told you, which is be very frugal for this year in terms of what if we can save it, we can save it. We don't need to buy it, we're not gonna buy it. That kind of thing, and just try to be as frugal as we can for the remainder of the year. That's what we're doing. Next year, we're gonna, depending on where this falls, we're gonna be looking at more major cuts for next year, for sure, you know that. Which will come about this spring when we're making next year's budget, but we probably won't have their final figures until after we already have to have our budget made. So, that, just expect that. I also wanted to reiterate to you that the next, governor's forecast are coming out, November 14th, which is getting closer, 4 days, and then again on February 4th. So those are the next 2 dates if you want to write those down. The question came up today about, well, you have 1.2 billion in the Education and Stability Fund. Why aren't you pulling that out? That was a good question. They couldn't give us the ODE couldn't give us a real good answer to that, because they said that would cover all the shortfall that we're talking about right now and more so, way more so. Why aren't you pulling that out? They don't give us an answer to that. Maybe they will when this is all said and done. They said at least as part of it, we don't know. The other thing I want to mention is we don't know exactly. They're not just talking about state school fund here. They're talking about all revenues, which could involve some grants and some in which we have people. The ones that they have always said, we won't touch that. That's in statute. Okay, now it's maybe gonna be messed with. So I just want to be really upfront with you guys and not wait too long to let you know that. At the same time, the only thing I told staff about this is because I don't know details and I don't want them to panic either, but I told them that we're gonna, turn back this year. If you don't need to go, don't. If you don't need to buy it, don't. And that there will be some reductions next year. I didn't say what because I don't know. I'm not gonna scare anybody with that information, but we do know we're gonna have to make reductions. Morgan Allen also said today that nothing can happen without legislative action. This is not coming from ODE, it's coming from the legislators. ODE is just trying to roll it out and tell us what might be a possible scenario. They were asked to give their proposed cuts. What could they do if you had cut this much and this much? That's what they've done. And now it's back in the hands of the legislators and they'll have to decide what they're gonna do. The legislative session begins on February 2nd. That's when they're gonna start considering all this, so that's the ways out there to me. But as of November 19th, Morgan also said, then when we have that forecast, then they're gonna start in on the legislative action. To see what they can do with some of this and maybe redirect some of the spending or the cuts. Okay, and I think that was about all I wanted to say about that. And I'm sure Monica probably heard about that same, she just hears different information.
And they're
Same
they just
thing.
reiterated that it's all the departments in Oregon that are having to do this exercise, and that they do it every time of year.
Yeah,
And that, the legislation is going to decide, they may not cut education at all,
mhm,
they'd be, what to do.
right. Or they might say, let's just balance this budget with the reserve funds that they have.
Yeah.
We don't know. So there's that. And the only other thing I had on here was the accountability, which we talked about that. We talked about all regional meetings. I think that was it.
So we're about $11 million budget, right? So if we need to cut 2.5%, 275 grand.
Mhm.
What's our average?
Well,
Cost.
it's not 2.5% of my budget, it's 2.5% of what they would do. So like if they
States.
did it all out of the general fund, you get it out of state school fund.
Yeah.
We get 4 million-ish for the state school fund, so we get 2.5%.
Gotcha.
Yeah. That's why it's hard to predict, is
Yeah.
because we don't know which fund it's gonna come out of. Anyway, what was your other question, one question?
Well, I was just looking, we're enrollment wise, we're down 6%, yeah, 9.9%. Maybe we have to cut a couple of VAs. I mean, that's, so I was gonna say, what's the cost of our, like our average EA position all in, not just salary, but by the time you pay benefits and everything?
What do you figure for that?
Um,
75?
No,
60?
well. No, I would say 160.
Mhm.
Two positions, 120 grand.
Yeah. Mhm. Well, yeah,
And then a lot of that depends on what type of kids you have in school, what you need to
yeah, it does.
take care of them.
Yeah, and we're looking, I'm looking, I know it's like how we can change programs, how we can do things differently, how we can, if, in order to cut staff anywhere, the programs that we're doing now and how we're running stuff would have to change. That's how we can do that, like fundamentally different. And that's a tricky one because it just is, anytime you're trying to get rid of staff and they do a job. So that
Sure,
job has to
sure.
come on someone else. Yeah, so how you do that, and how you balance that out, so. Yeah, but we definitely have to look at everything, that's for sure, no doubt about it.
What's our total staff number already?
I have it on paper, 48, I'm gonna say,
No,
51.1.
51.1, okay. Oh, because we wanted to just have, yeah. That's perfect, yeah.
You
that
don't
just feels like
you don't wanna be the
Yes,
black one, but
not like us being able
I
to
know.
down.
Yeah,
Our budget.
Okay,
That's great, it just seems high for having.
Bus drivers and.
that's it.
Yeah, I know that's everybody's, not just instructional stuff, but it's just crazy that it takes one person every 4 kids.
Usually 85% of the school district's budget is people.
Yeah.
It is.
Hmm.
That's why you can't avoid it when you're making major cuts, you
Yeah.
can't avoid it. That's really them.
Nothing else to cut.
That's where it's, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, that's all I have.
Same with the government.
That's great news, Gail. Thank you for that.
And I'm sorry.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I know. I'm gonna make you happy.
Okay,
Just trying to be open and transparent about
yep,
it.
good. So that
Start.
brings us back to the Starlink conversation. Is the $8,000 a drop in the bucket in that conversation, or?
My other thought on that was, Gail sent the email out that, the not a spending freeze. If it's not essential. Or we just do the one from the building and let the buses cut it in half.
Another thought I just had, I know Nate isn't here, and I don't know if we can, compatibility would be the same, but if we got just one bus unit as a mobile unit, would it be something that we could plug into our network here at the school? I doubt that it is, but that was another thought.
You could maybe-
It's cheaper,
You can maybe run the office staff,
yeah,
but I don't think you can run school.
that's what I would guess.
So I guess the question, is there anything else you want to say about that, Jubal, about cutting that or keeping it or?
I am very indifferent on if I put them onto a bus and what that'll do. I can see some benefits, I can see some cons. The benefits are better just because everyone's so technologically needy. And that everyone would figure out something that we would use it for. But for where we are at right now, we're operating just fine without it. And with two-way radios, and then even having the CB radio in a travel bus is just another way of communication with people out there. It doesn't necessarily get you long range, but you can communicate. So I'm very indifferent on it. I don't think that it's something I need to spend money on at all, or that we need to spend money on. If we have them, I'll install them, we can use them.
Mhm.
From use.
Well, and the main reason I supported it was because of student safety. Because of all the places we go where you just don't have, and coming into the winter and, safety, that's my only thing.
When it comes to
So-
winter, I'm going to be very conservative, and if it's something that's bad weather and wouldn't even send my wife to go to get groceries, I'm not sending anyone's kids out. So that's my thought process on it. So if it's bad weather, we're not going, I'm not gonna put us in a situation where we need to have an issue on top of the pass.
Yeah.
If it's something we can completely avoid.
And the other thing is, if you guys did decide, this is an easy thing, it's a small thing. It's simple and it's not a huge dollar item, but if you decided you didn't wanna do it right now, it would be easy to add it in later. Well, if fund money comes out better than what we think, and, oh yeah, let's go back to that, we don't wanna do that, we could.
Or if the bigger concern was the bus instead of the building one, you could just get 2 bus units and put them on the travel bus and the van, and those are the ones we take in the winter time, and that's a much smaller expense.
It is a smaller expense, I just think the school is higher need though,
Yeah.
that's my opinion.
And all the time I've been here, though, I can count on one hand the times the internet has been out.
Well, it
For
goes
this
out,
bill.
it seems every once in a while, but doesn't ever stay off for very long.
No, it's not for very
I
long.
looked at it, it's because this time it was a week and it stopped.
Yeah,
Because they
that's
cut a
true,
wire in the dowels and they couldn't fix.
Yeah.
that's true.
So we were out for a week. And then Sarah and the guys in Lakeview were
They're,
out.
but they've always been out, like
Yeah.
Lakeview always has their internet out, but
Yeah.
since 2014, when I've been
What,
here,
what's your guys'
it's not
pleasure?
happened very often.
You want to rescind that, because it was a motion, approved motion, right?
Yes, it
So
is.
we'd have to have a motion to rescind that motion, or amend it to
Or maybe
chop,
just revisit it,
yeah.
like maybe not spend it until next year
Sure.
and revisit it
So
then.
we'll put an amendment on it to,
Or do you guys think it's value in just doing it? Have the backup
Yeah.
for the school, or to have the bus thing the one that I think of is Beaver Marsh, that's where we send buses that way frequently, and there's no cell service, and
that's where you break down.
I would hate it if we, like, part of me thinks don't spend the money, part of me is like, if we don't spend the money today, and a month later, we get a bus full of kids.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Barry bought a snow plow, now it's not even snow. Insurance.
Well, if you only had one unit. Would it ever be on the right bus? Is it
So
always-
what I would do is I would have it so that something plugs into a cigarette lighter. And so it can just be moved into any vehicle and then,
Cigarette lighter on the bus.
oh yeah, there's cigarette lighters, yeah, so the plug.
How you think plugs?
Okay.
But yeah,
Sorry.
yeah, the PowerPoints, or as I've known from the older vehicles, cigarette lighters. That those are able to power those, and so we can keep those with cables and.
And they just got a magnet or a suction cup. Thing that goes, so you can move from vehicle to vehicle.
Yeah, and so,
Get moved, just like the GPS and the trackers.
Totally up to you guys.
but we do have the GPS on the buses, and those actually seem to be working really well. Those are keeping up really well, and even keep track of stuff. Most of the way through the passes, it'll give me at least times of when they lost cell service, because they do bounce off the cell towers. And they're pretty accurate as it is, I tracked, the volleyball girls most of the way up to the brand and could see if they had gone through Sumter and saw the pings that anytime they got anywhere near any cell tower. So it was pretty accurate on that. Well, so it's not necessarily something you can communicate with, but we at least can have an idea of where they're at.
Yeah, I think get one for bus. They wanna. Then on that snowy day when the bus is heading to Klamath Falls, you make sure you put it on there.
And hold out on the building side.
If it hasn't been a problem with the building.
I just worry about getting, if it's out for a week again, I don't want to. I guess.
Yeah.
Go to Linfield.
Go to Starbucks.
I mean, the thing about the building, that isn't really that expensive long term. I mean, once you buy the good antenna.
Yeah, it's $2,000 set.
If you never used it,
Yeah.
have a month, if that's real, then
I almost think
That
that's
doesn't
worth
bother
it,
me.
yeah.
I think having 4 of them sitting on buses that don't get used is probably not.
Mm.
Best.
We just modified to get one for the building and one for a bus, just start with it. So,
And
see if
maybe
we can use it, yeah.
The school and one bus,
Mhm.
that's fine with me.
The only thing I see was only having the one for the bus, is that it's only ever really gonna be an issue when it comes to if we get multiple spring sports, and then in fall, when we do fall sports, because we'll probably be wanting to use it for cross country, when we do our escape the rock run. And then there's typically a trip that's going out on that same day too. And so if there will be any weather, then we would one that would either, we'd have to make a decision on how to for the cross country or how for the vehicle that's going out, but that's the only thing that I can see on when it would actually be worthwhile having multiple for multiple units.
Well, you can add more later,
Yeah.
yeah,
We can have them,
I'd like to see if the one works,
yeah.
as well as we think it will.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, motion.
I move that we amend the previous motion regarding Starlink to just purchase the unit for the main building and one mobile unit.
I'll sound.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? 5-0. Wonderful. Just gotta figure out where we are. Looks
I
like,
didn't even wait, because I just got an email from Fairway that said, hey, you're a loyal customer, we'd like to send you a mobile unit free. You can be on standby with it until you need it.
Any claim to see.
perfect.
She did.
Yeah.
See if we can get 3.
Apparently, we've got a lot of mobile units here, guys. If a bus is going out, somebody just let us borrow their Starlink.
All right.
Who was the second again on that?
Right,
Joy, okay.
right, and then what?
We are going to shift into executive session. Is that correct, Janet? Nothing else that we had to resolve in there, so it's 7:55, 58.
Yeah.
We're gonna close our regular session, board meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Lauren.
Okay, right there was, they only saved $1,000. No, 15.
What's
Right on.
Yeah. No, it's in one more lately, please.
Okay.
Good. Okay, we're back in regular session, 8:31. Where we're going from there is board communication. And that's gonna be,
Which really just calendar of events.
yep, Calendar events, anything there?
Oh, you had a copy of it in your packet,
Oh, yeah.
just the current events.
How, I don't have any comments on the current ones, but, communication, how's things going with, the new Aptigee?
Yeah, that was
Everybody,
one question.
everybody happy with that? Is it functioning properly for you guys?
The ones I talked to, I just talked to a mom last week and she absolutely loves it.
Gotcha.
Yep.
That's to get good. Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of updates.
I think it depends largely on the teacher.
It depends on the
How
teacher.
much they use it.
Yeah,
Elementary tends to use it a lot.
Yeah, I was, they were showing me some, the Apogee was showing me kind of how we were using it. They had all that data. Yeah, the elementary teachers use it way more as far as back and forth communication with parents.
Mhm.
The high school end, not so much.
We had those glitches right off the bat with it at the beginning of the year, and after we got that.
And that was on
fixed,
them,
Everything's
yeah.
been good, yeah, and that was on them. They got that fixed and it's been good, and I think the mom I talked to had like 3 kids here, and she said it's really smooth getting all the information from all the kids. She liked it.
It's good. It seems like it's. I wasn't sure if maybe you guys are reminding teachers because it seems like I'll have like. Messages and then all of a sudden, and then there'll be nothing for a while. and I'll-
Get a gift card.
That's all them.
It was just a reminder this morning in a meeting like, hey, use your Aptigee and then
Like elementary, they all do usually a monthly newsletter and then,
Yeah,
you know, just send out periodic updates or reminders, like if the Veterans Assembly is coming, so that. Or if you've got multiple.
Well, some of them still send up, like, I think.
Yeah.
Witness and Dallas, I'm not supposed to mention names. My child is in a class. And that teacher sends home like a weekly newsletter. Which is great. He doesn't use the app and stuff, but.
Okay, Preston learned a new skill.
Be not direct.
Okay.
That's what the board stuff is.
With that, then we're on the future agenda items. Our next meeting is December 8th. Some agenda items, Janet. I
so
would
now
like
we
to-
don't need the supplemental budget meeting, so I'll take that
Yeah,
off.
take that one off. I would like to do something for the volleyball team, maybe a recognition for the volleyball team, and we'll
Like
get something
From the
for-
board?
Yeah. What do you guys think?
I don't know what that is, but yeah.
Just have them here, publicly recognize them, give them something. We'll figure it out.
I don't know if they'll come. We got feeding pizzas.
I'll bring one. Yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
At least the coaches? I don't know.
Right after basketball practice.
Yeah,
Or would it be better to do it like at the first home basketball game? They own. and
That actually, might-
There's an audience
Get more
there
of
and
it.
you can say, I'd like to, you know, Northern School Board would like to. Recognize. Volleyball team. I think it's 6, whatever it was.
Okay.
And then there's a. Crowd.
More than just 5 minutes.
And
I was trying to find a way to get more people to show to our board meetings, and when you have to, it helps. That's just one of the things that was talked about with the board culture and stuff was, you know, always recognizing somebody or doing, you know, bringing in what. Having a staff person or something, share something good at a board meeting. And I know we don't have much of a forum because we always go to executive session, we lose them. But you just put it at the beginning. you know.
I've talked about this now a little bit, when he was on the board, they said they always had.
Yeah.
15 to 20 people at meetings. And I was like, we don't even have a spot for 15 or 20 people to sit.
Yeah.
Maybe,
well, we do if we get rid of the
We just have to have,
spares.
Even if we need it. yeah.
If we needed it, we would.
yeah,
we have to have more fun things on the agenda.
the only time we get a lot of people who only have very unfun things.
Yeah, okay, that was an idea. So we'll try to put something together on one of the home basketball games or something, and then the board will recognize the volleyball team. Is that fair?
Do we have a home holiday tournament this year?
We do. Is it a 2-day deal? or-
Yes.
It was a 2-day deal last year and ended up being a 1-day deal. Remember that?
He was canceled.
Yeah.
What? Weather.
I think so.
Always, we didn't even have it.
Well,
It was just girls.
yeah, we
Yeah.
used to always have a Christmas tournament that was 4 teams, 2 days.
It's either the weekend of the 12th and 13th or the 19th. I wanna say it's the 12th. and 13th.
Well,
I wanna say,
The 19th is 20th, and you're right, when we're getting out for break. So would it be that? So Dan, did you want that volleyball thing on the, you know, did you want?
No, it
that
won't be on the
Right.
agenda. I just didn't know if we wanted
That
a
was-
meeting.
Question.
So,
So
yeah.
the only thing on future agenda I have is, well, I put down.
The meeting.
Agenda, but I got different vote, on that date, I have to take a party date.
Okay.
Or maybe we should talk about what are some options. For dates first before I put them out. there.
Yeah, you were gonna doodle poll or something,
Yeah,
couple of dates for staff, and then we would have that. We could have that at the next meeting and talk about it.
And then you could just let me know if there's anything else that should go on the agenda
so maybe I'll
as we
give
get
them,
closer to.
maybe I'll give them a date before and a date after, they can pick from one or the other.
It's October on the 9th might be the.
So if we're down to the next meeting, trying to get
Okay.
before,
There's no
probably
problem.
not gonna work out.
Nice. Girls.
Let's do January.
I know. And if you go afterwards, then, yeah, no, that's not for the juice, that's not gonna give us enough time, to do, hey,
We'll have
meeting's
to
day.
go afterwards, really. Where we're at,
Plus,
We're
we
a
told
month behind
Stacy,
on
okay,
trying
let's
to-
do this in 2 weeks.
So do
She'll
we just
probably-
want to say,
Let's just pick a, yeah, let's just have a date.
January.
let's pick it in January.
Yeah.
And
It can't be. I don't know if I can do that, but. A holiday party that I have to be at, on the 9th
Go January.
of January, so I cannot do that one.
That's Friday. We might wanna do it on a Thursday night or something like that.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah, what Stacy had mentioned, I think she said they had, as you said, it was actually really good, they had all very catered. Like a wedding, maybe for like that, 75 people, I would rather $1,000. So that's kind of what she was recommending for. Be within budget, but have plenty of food for employees and spouses, assuming you get, 35 to show up.
there's that up here,
They picked it up in town, that you
Okay.
call it in
and then still do it.
and then go get it.
So you guys in January have your board meeting on the 12th. You can't do it the first weekend in January because everybody's still on break and not back to work until the 5th. You could do it that first week we get back,
Yeah.
yeah. About that,
That Thursday,
yeah,
January 8th.
staff party,
Guess the only question is how does the basketball schedule look?
that was my question too.
Yeah, looks good. On that. There's
Does
games
it?
on Friday, the 9th. But nothing on the. Bring the girls, good.
Boys, this is kind of welcome back to school and
Mhm.
happy holidays and
Yeah.
Nothing with wrestling at that point, then.
have some grub sticks.
yeah, there will be,
But not on
that
Thursday.
shouldn't affect this, that shouldn't affect this third. I'm not very- I'm still.
You won't get anybody to come on staff if you do it like on a Friday or a Saturday because they've already done one. on Thursday. Yeah.
Like the 8th is great.
So do we do like 5 PM, 6 PM? With staff here on a Thursday night? Probably not.
I think they'd want to go 5 PM.
I think the earlier the better. And I would say probably 5. Okay, so that's gonna be,
And if that's something. Schedule it, and if you guys here in the school realize 5:30 is way better than. Change it to them.
I think 5 straight, 'cause school gets out. 4 and 4:15. So if they had to run kids home, they could do that, still get back. Or stay, it isn't that long, if they're just hanging out, that goes by really fast. I think 5 is great, 6 I think is too late, because if they go home, if it's too late, they'll still want to stay home. Because it's too late in the evening, oh, what time I get back, that kind of thing, I think.
Thinking about doing it here.
Well, yeah.
We'll have basketball practice.
We'll see if there's a venue that we can get, so we're out of this building, because it's. Not saying it's not cheery here, but if you're gonna do a party,
No,
Yeah.
they'll want
it's
to.
out somewhere where, you know,
Yeah,
off campus, so,
the boosters are still there.
yeah.
Booster Hall.
Boosters is big enough, or even, the old terrace restaurant, we've had stuff in there.
Oh,
Oh,
So,
yeah.
does that have a machine for all this thing?
yeah, like shoot, I had a 75 in there for Hayward at one time.
Oh.
It was snug, but we got everybody in there. So, yeah, no, there's enough room and there's restrooms and all that kind of stuff there, so.
Makes it tight, so there's a lot of camaraderie, because we're both home.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so we'll go January 8th, 5 o'clock, and I'm just gonna work it out, where you guys wanna work on the.
Yep.
The
Yep.
venue, okay,
To be determined
alright,
where we're at, and then our fallback will be here, and I'll let
Right.
you know.
And Preston, you're on the food then?
Or Stacy,
Stacy's on the.
Okay.
You want me to- you want me to work with her, or you wanna work? with
Either one, whatever.
Well, I'll just work with her. I'm working with the venue and that they should know where we're at, so.
You want that? More for my things.
And then $1,000
For a while, Dylan just had a knee surgery, so she's pretty well stuck at home.
in terms of the money, were they thinking they could cover that $1,000 or
Yeah.
come close to that? And then,
She said. Yeah, she said she checked all of her this morning, we can get dinner catered for $75 for under $1,000. And I'll see us saying we do something like that, and set up and decorate. Let me know what you think.
or- Jackpot.
I got it in writing up.
Okay, send me that text. Well, no, Preston. Okay. So. The 8th, good? Unless you all hear something different. We'll go with that. What else did I have? Okay, so. Next steps in terms of employment options. We would have to. Work with OSBA. As one option. The OSA person gave me other contacts, so we got 2 or 3 different options in terms of. Looking at how the process would unfold. Okay, I guess. As board chair, I can go out and solicit that unless you all want to. Do something different. I can be kind of vague because it's a meeting, of course, but. If you're okay with me making the initial research, giving us some options, and then we'll have that as an agenda item for the next meeting as to how that process would unfold, or here's certain contractors to do that work for us.
And just email me with specific wording
Yes,
before, yeah.
yeah, and then we'll proceed with that. Questions, concerns?
I think we're good to have, it's good to have more than just the one option.
Yeah.
As far as it goes, so.
I did get 3 names. In just the discussion I had with Elliot about what we had to do. From the executive session standpoint. One of the names, he jumped right up and said, those are great people. So. I think we have some help there even with some of our little council collaboration, cooperation, so. That's where we're at. Good. Okay, so we'll have that as agenda item coming up, and then I don't have anything else. I thought I had another one. Don't know what this one is. So. Anything anyone else has? Before we adjourn?
Well, the roof would be on again, hopefully, some updated
Very,
potential
very updates.
reversed or something.
Yeah, he's gonna love us, but he keeps bringing the $100 stuff to us. Okay. Anything else? Good in order? Janet, am I missing anything?
Not that I can see, but
Yeah,
Just the roof thing again, right?
that's
And I'm seeing.
with those.
You really want, I know, really want to go on that.
And-
We need to do our due diligence before we spend $1 million.
Yeah, we got a lot of
Before we
stuff.
spend $30,000 to find out that maybe we don't need to spend $1 million. We're just not right away.
And remember, Barry had it in there too, or it was in their paperwork that $37,000 is part of the millions, it's not the
Yeah.
million plus, just a million for us. And it might not be a million, I don't know.
Oh, he said that.
Well, it is, but
Woo.
No, I realize that, but if.
Exactly.
If, you know, Dwight's assessment is more accurate, and the first guy was really just trying to sell us to do.
Well, also, if he thought it was 35-year-old roof.
Yeah.
That could replace some back in the field, yeah.
That would change it.
That's a red flag for him.
A lot of questions about what happened about 15 years ago.
yeah,
Heard there was a dog involved. I would like to have, Ken Dwight and Mark, you guys come up with a meeting time to sit down with Barry about.
This is, football's over now.
yeah.
It is.
Yeah, so
Volleyball's over.
I'll just,
I got,
maybe between
Nothing to do.
now and the next meeting, you guys can have a.
Yeah.
Sit down with him and just start thinking about that long range plan and really about, you know, what are the big ticket items? I think we're starting to get a pretty good list and a handle on that. But then are we even gonna be able to do them in time if we're slow trickling them, or do we just need to lump them? Look at maybe a bond sometime when it's a good time to do that. Right now, it's probably not a good time to ask, but, you know, how do we raise that capital and, or do we, you know, keep extending down our contingency?
We probably shot ourselves in the foot when we gave back leftover money from the gym. We should have kept that.
yeah, but it wasn't. It was a nice gesture, but it wasn't.
Yeah,
I mean,
But maybe not, maybe maybe it was a gesture, but yet
I mean, something we
kind
can,
of be fiscally responsible, right?
it's
And
a,
at this point saying, hey,
well, but it had unintended consequences down the line because
right,
then the
exactly.
assessor messed up the
That's
taxes.
necessary.
And then everybody now is having to pay double taxes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I said, now is not the time. But when is, I mean, when is the breaking point where we can't keep up with these capital projects? And we're just gonna have to lump some stuff in and eat it. And, you know, some of that might have to even play in with enrollment. Is enrollment gonna keep going down, flat, or are we gonna start getting some growth in this town? And I don't know. But those are some pieces that all kind of comes together with that. So you guys can at least get that initial conversation started. That would be great, and get some feedback on that. We'll just leave that as a committee report. So. Yeah. Okay, with that, seeing no more business, meeting is adjourned. Thank you. I do have a sidebar. Preston and I were talking about if people want to kick in like $10. Then we can secure some decent food in for our meeting, so as board, if we all want to kick in.
We're gonna bend every Monday. I really want to write down.
Yeah.
I'll go.
Sorry, that's the last thing.